A chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon, sunny with a high in the mid-80s. Support for programming is provided by Mercy College of Health Sciences, offering a variety of accredited healthcare programs to choose from. mchs.edu. And that's your 24-hour forecast on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network, connecting listeners to Christ.
Listener-supported Iowa Catholic Radio, 1150 AM KWKY Des Moines, 94.5 FM K233BT Des Moines, 88.5 FM KIHS Adel. Online anytime at iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.
Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Jean Till, and on today's show, we're visiting with John Huynh, the new Director of Social Justice for the Diocese of Des Moines and Catholic Charities and all things in between. Bishop.
Well, soon I know the people of Iowa are going to be hosting again yet another RAGBRAI, the 50th anniversary coming up, so starting this weekend, rolling across. And next Wednesday, we'll be having Mass at 5 p.m. at St. Ambrose Cathedral. I think there's a scheduled Mass in each of the 4 dioceses RAGBRAI is going to be going through this year. So obviously finishing up in Davenport, Bishop Zinkula, and all that were there. So hopefully people have gotten their miles under their belt, but it's also time not just to have a kind of pagan festival, but to keep one's faith and even maybe enhance one's faith in the course of this and form deep connections that might be there, and to listen to others. We think about the theme of this whole synod on synodality that's approaching, and it's causing a little bit of anxiety for some. They look at what's been happening in the German church. We've referred to it in previous shows as well, and so that can breed kind of cynicism and distrust. But I think we have to kind of keep an openness here that ultimately the Holy Spirit is the protagonist, as our Holy Father has spoken of, and this isn't just going to be a kind of referendum where people are voting in their own particular issues or axes to grind, but hopefully the consultation that's happened is kind of preparing the ground then for what God wants to do in this way. I think Steve White, in a recent column, Whose Synod, Which Synodality, I think kind of toes that line very nicely, that, we have to be alert, that, we are stewards of a tradition that's been handed on to us, but at the same point, to be open to this, and that this consultation that's happening, and unprecedented in a way, 26% of the members who've been chosen could not have been in previous synods. We look at the numbers of lay people, religious, and priests, 26% there, popes, cardinals, bishops, and eparchs, 76%, but 15% of the members of the Synodal Assembly are women. So that's a kind of a striking figure.
Well,
10%
we have
are
to
lay.
listen to all the voices.
Yeah, and so again, we think about the sense of the faithful and their instincts in this, but again, the magisterium is entrusted with this responsibility. But if it doesn't happen without the consultation, so we want be aware that where the Holy Spirit is, there's other spirits who are going to try and confuse and distort and hijack things. We look at the composition. Central America, 7%, North and South America, so that amounts to 27%. Africa is the most prevalent among the continents. Europe, it supersedes that when we think about some of the personnel there and the array of countries that are part of this. But I think it's a healthy sign that the Roman Curia is less than 10% of the members of the Synod in October. So
it's not a top-down dictatorship.
Well, no. I mean, but the shepherds of the church retain that responsibility and that prerogative ultimately. But I think it'll be a little more representative in this way. And so, in the American church, the numbers of lay people, there's religious sisters who have been involved. Obviously, Canada is also represented. A young woman from Philadelphia who's a college age, who's going to be part of this, who's been very engaged in all this. And, of course, then among the shepherds of the church, the bishops who are speaking to this, of course, Archbishop Broglio, head of the USCCB, Bishop Flores of Brownsville is very eminently involved, and a name familiar to many of us, Bishop Barron, Bishop Kevin Rhodes, who has been the outgoing head of doctrine, Cardinal Dolan, there's few who don't know him, who've been paying attention to church things. And then, of course, the Pope naming some of the other archbishops and cardinals as kind of his own choice to be part of this. So I think in the Diocese of Des Moines, we continue to listen, our strategic visioning, our newly reactivated Diocesan Pastoral Council and the commissions that are part of this. We're trying to, I think, image this on our local level. And so the lay participation and the voices that we'll hear will guide me in my responsibilities to bring this vision, to cultivate connections in Christ, to continue to sow seeds of the Spirit, look for those means of encounter so that new friendships spring up and that all deepen the communion that we are to have. So a synod is a risky endeavor, but God will protect his church, and God will guide us again to who we are supposed to be in our own time.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we return, we'll visit with John Huynh, the new Director of Social Justice for the Diocese of Des Moines and Catholic Charities. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio comes from Deary of Ames, home of Warranty Forever, offering new, used, and commercial vehicles as well as service and Mopar parts. Deary of Ames is located just off of Highway 30 at the Dayton Avenue exit and online at dearyames.com.
Iowa Catholic Radio would like to thank our business partner, Gold Dome Buildings. Gold Dome is locally owned and operated, serving Des Moines and surrounding areas since 1992. Builders of garages, farm buildings, customized backyard sheds, and playhouses. GoldDomeIowa.com.
Iowa Catholic Radio welcomes the 42nd Annual Chesterton Conference, July 27th through the 29th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Dale Ahlquist, Bishop Robert Barron, Christopher Check, and an all-star lineup of speakers celebrate the 100th anniversary of Chesterton's book on St. Francis of Assisi. 3 days of intellectual stimulation, spiritual edification, fellowship, and fun. Learn more about the conference and register at chesterton.org. Chesterton.org. A message from the Society of G.K. Chesterton and Iowa Catholic Radio.
Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. And on today's show, we're visiting with John Huynh, the new Director of Social Justice for the Diocese of Des Moines and Catholic Charities. Welcome.
Good to have you, John, or I should say Dr. Huynh here. I mean, congratulations on completing your doctoral studies here. It's been a process, between being a dad with 3 kids and a husband, wearing various hats for the Diocese of Des Moines, but you brought that to completion. So your topic, just to share, that kind of your background, what something you never want to think about ever again, right?
Yes, thanks, Bishop. The topic was how to enhance and enrich spiritual formation in our Catholic schools faculty. So it's quite an endeavor. Yeah,
kind of emerged from the Faith Journey piece,
yep,
and your collaboration with Denise Mulcahy in the Catholic Schools Office, and
yep.
and kind of giving her the baton now is. The Spirit is blown in a direction for you now, Director of Social Justice.
Yes.
For officially under Catholic Charities of the Diocese, but also collaborating still as you have, and you're a familiar face for most people. Once in a while, a little obnoxious presence in your cornhole championships among the internal group, but we'll set that aside here.
Can't help being born a winner. Yeah. It's written in my name.
Well, no towel snapping will take place here.
Which is first, the doctorate or the cornhole champion? I don't know.
Cornhole all the way. Let's go.
But again, I think that the chance to reflect deeply, but now more on a very tangible, practical way. That formation, not just of,
right,
but of the people of God in Southwest Iowa and beyond. So, how did this role come about from your side?
Well, I think I was approached by you and Dr. Decker,
Barbara Decker?
Yes, Dr. Barbara Decker, several months ago. And, look, we're undergoing a revisioning process for our diocese. There's this talk that's been happening the past couple years. Now it's coming to fruition. This is the role. These are sort of the descriptions, the tasks that are within it. What do you think of it? And I took that, prayed about that, talked to my wife.
Very key.
Yes, very much so. And had continuous conversations, I believe, with you and Dr. Decker. I think 2 or 3 conversations before we finalized the role. But, it came about at a time, I think, the change is happening in our diocese, and there's change happening internally in some sense with me, too. And through those conversations in prayer, and it became clear. And the past month or so has clarified that decision.
Officially started June 1st, and here you are. We're in
That's right,
July already as well. But and you talk about the conversations with Dr. Decker, Barbara Decker, and myself. But we were looking too on this larger way, and boldly and clearly communicating church teachings is one of our priorities in the new vision that we want to be about. Where does that is that realized? And so, not to be in your face, but to look for those formative opportunities, and then to make connections that we can have. And in the history of the diocese, there was a social justice consortium. There have been many pivotal people in the past who've continued to carry the torch. Right. But to dedicate someone whose specific responsibilities are this, I think it's saying to the local church, it's saying to the larger community, this is who we are. That the gospel goes hand in hand, not just with the works of charity, the works of mercy, but the advocacy and the transformation of structures and communal relationships.
Right. There's some misunderstanding about what Catholic social teaching is, and I think so. That's a large part of what I'm going to be doing is education, information at the parish level. Is what exactly is Catholic social teaching? It's not a body of policies translated into law or anything like that. It's a set of principles that govern the way that we think about society in general, and then the particulars and the contingent sort of policies that are written in law and things like that can come and these principles can help inform, but to help our people understand that, understand what exactly is Catholic social teaching, and who is the human person ultimately. Where are we going with all of this? I think there's a need for that. Some may know it as just strictly policy. Some may not know that it exists at all, if there's such a thing as Catholic social teaching.
The best kept secret, as it's long been said.
That's right, yeah. There's a whole body of work, right? That
it's not one cause.
Right, exactly. So
that might look for certain lights in certain encyclicals where we think about Leo XIII and Rerum Novarum, and we could go down a whole century of encyclicals, which I think shows a kind of organic continuity of how our understanding of the gospel, engaging with the signs of the times, and look what's happened since the late 19th century and where we are today, in the digital revolution and all that's going on. So what does this mean? What does it mean to be a community, aided and abetted by technology, but also sometimes stymied by it?
Right. I mean, this is the beautiful thing about Catholic social teaching, right? So first, it's a body of teaching that didn't become explicit until the 19th century. It's always been there. The church has always lived it.
It goes back to Jesus?
Yeah, absolutely, right.
What?
But explicitly named, taught, and principled
the
in
prophets,
some sense.
even,
right?
I should say, yeah.
But the beautiful thing about it is it doesn't give you a recipe, a blanket fits all solution to modern concerns, because times change. So you talk about community. Community in the 19th century looks very different from what it is now. And eventually we will have just communities of AIs. How do we commune? Right. No, I'm kidding.
Can I wake up out of this nightmare?
As social media takes over and things of those nature, how important is the community now? Especially if we talk about mental health as a crisis, right? That people really do need relationships, face-to-face relationships, community that are built organically, intimately, in person.
And not just like to like. I think about the Surgeon General's report about social connection, that we just can't withdraw into these insular communities where, we're just ratified in our political or other views.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. So yes, a job description emerged, but how much do you feel like you have a hand in shaping what you're going to be about here, even after the first month and a half?
At this point, I'm just learning and taking in. So a lot of it is, orientation, meeting folks and finding out what we're all about. I know what we do, but now I'm getting into kind of the dirt of it, right? So going to Council Bluffs, going to the domestic violence and sexual assault housing that we have, meeting the folks that work there, going into our emergency family shelter here, serving at the food pantry, kind of understanding all of that. And I do think that there, eventually, as I come to talk to you and Dr. Decker and all those who are involved in diocesan and Catholic charities, there'll be an emerging sort of vision that's that's very much aligned with the mission of what we're about from both the diocese and Catholic Charities. But I think I'll have some hands in shaping that. Absolutely.
Okay, and not just limiting yourself to Catholic groups either, right? Or groups formerly associated with Catholic Charities,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
So Interfaith Power and Light, you mentioned to me the other day.
Yes. We had a conversation about how do we help rural families. I mean, they're currently in Southwest Iowa, and they're saying, hey, we want to collaborate with you and get to our Catholic families who are farmers in the southwest corner of Iowa. How do we do that? And so a discussion is emerging out of that and figuring out some ways to do that.
Okay, all right. And your own life story, obviously coming to this country from Vietnam as a boy, things. I was fortunate to see your folks at Mass here at St. Peter's.
Yes, they mentioned it
last
yesterday.
week.
Fondly, yes.
That's looking the resemblance is right. John,
I don't know if that's good or a bad thing.
No longer the student, But as an immigrant too, the sensibilities that you have, right, and the automatic sense of solidarity that maybe you can form.
Yes, absolutely. I was sharing with Dr. Decker. I coming here 10 years old. I went to Windsor, Callanan, and then at Dowling. And as I grew, I was talking to Dr. Decker. There's a group of folks that are essentially kind of like me, and I call them the hyphenated generation, because for me, the Vietnamese community doesn't fully see me as fully Vietnamese, right? I speak English well. I'm sort of like kind of fitting with the Caucasian, the white folks. But then, like, on the other hand, I don't fully fit in with the white folks, the other community either, because I'm Asian. I'm Vietnamese.
Oh, come on, John, we love you.
So I live on that hyphen, and as a student, as someone who went to Dowling, I struggled to belong, and I struggled to belong later on in life. And when I taught at Dowling, there's a group of students that are like that, the hyphenated generation, if you will. And I was talking to her, and I said, there's a need there. How do we reach out? It's a particular need, but especially for our Hispanic students who have working mom and dads, attending Dowling Catholic, let's say, or attending Mass at St. Francis or Sacred Heart or whatever, they may not feel like they belong. How do we help? It's one among many issues that we face, but absolutely, there's I'm well aware of some of those struggles, and kind of discerning some ways to help.
I mean, it seems like there's a homily in here about the space of the hyphen, the place of the hyphen, and what that means. I think about our Latino brothers and sisters for whom a hyphenated last name is very common, but this is in the core identity.
Yes.
And that all of us should, as Christians in the world, feel a little bit that we have no place to call home.
Yes.
Or to lay our head like the Son of Man.
Absolutely.
That we're not totally with the world. We're always a little bit, in the famous letter to Diognetus, that talks about this,
Yes.
But that this goes on. And so, your personal perspective, I think, can really empower you to be a voice that should be able to resonate with people and also call the rest of us, I think, whether we're white folks or what we are,
Yeah. I don't know if I can say that on radio, but we are.
European descent. Yeah, you can say it.
Yeah.
But that there's a work of evangelization here, but to begin to reflect back to people their dignity inherently, and that can be a point of connection then in that. So, I'm not asking for concrete strategies in this, but you've been living this already, and so how is this going to be core to that? We think about, if we start some themes with Catholic social teaching, and we're not trying to put you in professorial mode here, although you are, you're certainly a man who can go there and, kind of go into the ether if we want, the higher planes. But I'll leave that for your conversations with Bud Marr and
that's right, yeah.
But what kind of themes are we talking about? Is this some foreign language of theological
No,
terminology?
absolutely not. I think the themes, as Catholics love it, we love numbers, and 7 emerge out of this, and life and the dignity of the human person, of course, is the fundamental, right? You can't have any other things. You can't live a life well unless you are first born and grow. And
so the heartbeat bill would be a matter of social justice.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes because some people can kind of pigeonhole life issues, and then there's the social justice issues, and then kind of assign them with partisan connections.
That's exactly it. I think in an overly politicized arena, what we tend to do is two things. I think we proof text Catholic social teaching to fit what we want it to do, and then secondly, we simply take the certain principles and make them sort of a god into themselves. So first, life and dignity, and then, of course, out of that, we're called to family and community, as we spoke about, and then, of course, we have rights and responsibilities. You have a right to ownership of things, but that comes with responsibilities.
So education, healthcare,
absolutely,
political participation,
all of those.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, an option for the vulnerable and the poor among us, as we all witness this as we, you get off the highway. There are those who are seeking help, and someone, actually, I was serving at the food pantry the other day, and a gal there told me, look, when I give money to these people, I don't ask or think about what they're going to do. People have a sense of pride, and unless you need to, you will not put that pride away and stand there. And so if they're willing to put their pride away to do that, they're in need. And so I think that resonates with me quite a bit. And of course, you have the dignity of work and the rights of worker, right? From Rem Novarum, of course, comes to mind here from Leo XIII.
And even the Supreme Court kind of recognizing the right of someone not to have to work on Sunday if you're
right,
for the U.S. Postal Service or something. Yeah,
yep.
There are certain things that transcend.
Yep.
Solidarity. We're up to 5 here. I think we're going to have to kick it back to Gene, so we'll leave people hanging with a teaser here, okay?
Well, to learn more about social justice work in the Diocese and Catholic Charities, go to dmdiocese.org, click on Resources, and then Social Justice. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by the Sarah Vocations Ministry, including the St. Sarah Club of Des Moines and the Sarah Club of Council Bluffs. Sarah is an apostolate of the Worldwide Catholic Church dedicated to fostering and supporting priesthood and religious vocations. Sarahs strive to accomplish their mission through prayer, fellowship, and service to the bishop, priests, sisters, and all in religious formation, and in doing so to increase their own holiness. Learn more at joinsarah.org, joinserra.org. Thank you, Sarahs, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Iowa Catholic Radio welcomes the 42nd Annual Chesterton Conference, July 27th through the 29th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Dale Ahlquist, Bishop Robert Barron, Christopher Check, and an all-star lineup of speakers celebrate the 100th anniversary of Chesterton's book on St. Francis of Assisi. 3 days of intellectual stimulation, spiritual edification, fellowship, and fun. Learn more about the conference and register at chesterton.org. Chesterton.org. A message from the Society of G.K. Chesterton and Iowa Catholic Radio.
Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
And we have this doctor in our house here, Dr. John Huynh, D.N. Again, thank you for that. Compliments to you. But we left people hanging with a few more themes in Catholic social teaching.
Yeah, just the two more. The sixth would be solidarity. And recently I talked to Father Andrew over at St. Luke's, and he said, we're going to be looking at adopting a sister's parish in Africa. What do you help me to help people understand why this is important? I think solidarity is the principle that comes to mind. Look, we're brothers and sisters in Christ, and when there's need, we help. So I think that's the sixth principle, and then the last is care for God's creation, restoring original justice, if you will. Right? I mean, the original 4 forms of unity, of justice, just relationships, man and creation. Adam got to name all the animals. The act of naming is extremely important. I mean, that to name something we name our children, and Adam named the animals, and there was unity there, and an original sense of justice between man and creation. And so, caring for God's creation, we're entrusted with it. We're to be good stewards of it.
Mm-hmm. And that naming doesn't immediately imply possession.
No, absolutely
and
not.
Absolute dominion over something.
Right.
That we are stewards of this. And this theme that emerges, St. John Paul II and others, and Centesimus Annus and others. The universal destination of goods.
Yep.
That we're caretakers, handing it on to your children, your grandchildren. But what kind of earth are we abiding in? Yes,
absolutely.
There's all sorts of untapped potentials there that a man and his genius can bring forth. But at the same point, not to leave it as a wasteland at the end of the day.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, so marvelous. And, I think you talk about the different kind of justice. This is not, you punch my buttons. I guess I punch my own buttons, sometimes. But, that social justice does not reduce to simply distributive justice, need or merit, which is then rounded out by charity and the things that we do. But how are we enlisting people for the sake of some good that transcends all of us, a common good, that we're not just, cookie cutters participating in society in identical ways. We each have our unique stories and profiles and gifts and needs and weaknesses, but that something happens that couldn't happen otherwise. You know? It's one thing to help a parish in Africa, but the church in Africa, and how do they give us hope and call us to something, to be church, not just at World Youth Day or other grand events like that, but this consciousness and sensibility that we have, which could, yes, deepen our stewardship of goods, because it's not just precious metals, going into our technology that China's laid claim to, but the precious good, which is other people too. So
when it comes to good, we have a wide latitude of ways that we all can affect good. And this is why the church does not say all must do this, right? There's no cookie cutter. I mean, we are allowed to, in various ways with our gifts and talents that can affect the common good.
And respects natural necessities, respects that maybe men and women participate in similar but also some distinct ways in there. But just as time is beginning to wind down here, the formative piece, the bringing together, as you're already very conversant with this tradition of Catholic social justice and the gift it is, but also advocacy. And what kind of things do you see that happening there?
So I'll be working closely with Tom Chapman in areas
the Iowa Catholic Conference.
The Iowa Catholic Conference. In areas where we need advocacy for legislation that will advance the Catholic social teaching for the common good. So that I won't be directly involved in any of that at the Capitol Hill or anything like that, but I'll be working with Tom to spread the word.
So not simply a lobbyist, but kind of an evangelist. But that we are political animals too.
Absolutely,
as social animals. Mm-hmm. John Huynh, thank you for this time. Look forward to collaborating with you. You straddle both the Catholic Charities and the diocese, but I think other groups that whether it's Amos or things that we can go this pilgrim way together.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, this has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thank you to our guest, Dr. John Huynh, and to all of our listeners in Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, or wherever you may be listening to Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio comes from the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, motivated by a sense of compassion for those struggling with poverty, loneliness, illness, family problems, and many other difficulties. Our Catholic faith inspires us to action, sustains our commitment, and challenges us to become more like Christ. For Vincentians, every encounter with our fellow man is an opportunity to share a spark of the divine fire as we walk with them in their daily challenges. To support their mission of helping others and help themselves, visit svdpdsm.org.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by Knights of Columbus, Borman, and Pfeiffer agencies, serving Catholic families in Iowa, offering life insurance, long-term care insurance, disability insurance, and retirement annuities. The Knights of Columbus is a fraternal benefit society able to provide financial security to members and their families. Learn how Knights of Columbus agent Justin Waddle can help. 563-689-6801, 563-689-6801, or kfc.org.
The best days ever are at the Iowa State Fair August 10th through the 20th with Iowa Catholic Radio on the west side of the Annabelle Riley stage every day of the fair. Iowa Catholic Radio also has your opportunity to see For King and Country.
We are for King and Country.
With special guest We the Kingdom.
I'm gonna climb a mountain. I'm gonna shout about it. I am a child of love.
New Kids on the Block with Jesse McCarthy. Jeff Dunham, a Still Not Canceled tour, or Lindsey Sterling with special guest Walk Off the Earth. Text FAIR to 515-223-1150. That's FAIR to 515-223-1150 for your chance to win your choice of tickets. Learn more about the entertainment this year at iowastatefair.org. And Iowa Catholic Radio will see you at the 2023 Iowa State Fair for the best days ever. Text FAIR to 515-223-1150 for your chance to win from Iowa Catholic Radio.
Welcome to Faith and Family Finance with the Knights of Columbus. This is your weekly opportunity to learn more about what you can do to protect your and your family's future and how the Knights of Columbus can help.
Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Knights of Columbus Field Agent Gregory Waddle. With me today, I have General Agents Neil Pfeiffer and Mike Borman and Assistant General Agent Walker Borman.